You're listening to Podketeers.
Welcome to episode 246 of Podketeers. We are so excited to get March Mayhem off the ground this year. The bracket is set, and as of this episode, the voting has begun. To keep things simple, we're keeping the voting process strictly to our Instagram stories, so make sure that you're following us to vote. Results will be updated daily over at podketeers.com. On the homepage, just scroll down a bit, you'll see the March Mayhem logo that'll take you to the official page for March Mayhem. In this episode, we talk a bit about some of the Galaxy's Edge announcements from this past week, the changes that are coming to Epcot, plus we tell you about the Disney Legends Award, and we have a roundtable discussion about who we would like to see receive this award. If you'd like to share your comments on anything that we talk about in this episode, you can join the conversation by dropping us a message over on the blog post for this episode at podketeers.com/246, or by connecting with us on Facebook, Instagram, or on Twitter. Just search for Podketeers. If you'd like to do the YouTube thing, then you can also check out our channel there. Just search for Podketeers. We'd love it if you took a moment to subscribe and maybe even hit that little bell icon for notifications whenever new videos are posted. And of course, before we get this Luxo ball rolling, I want to take a moment to send a huge thank you to the FGP Squad. The FGP Squad is a group of listeners just like you that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible via their support on Patreon. For more info on how you can become part of the FGP Squad with a monthly or maybe even one-time contribution, head on over to podketeers.com/FGP. If you're unable to join the FGP Squad, but you shop on Amazon, you can also help us out by going to podketeers.com/Amazon before your next purchase. On that page, you'll see an Amazon button that'll take you to Amazon's homepage using our special referral link, and anything that you buy may earn us a small commission as a thank you from Amazon for mentioning them on this podcast. If you're already using this process, we'd like to send you a thank you as well for your help. All right, here we go. Let's get this ball rolling as I promised just moments ago. Or as I said, the Luxo ball, because I mean, come on, it's much cuter than a regular ball. So here we go. This is episode 246 of Podketeers. What if I forgot how to count? Man. You know, it's funny. When we were going through the tallying of all of the submissions for March Mayhem, I honestly did not think that we were going to have over 120 characters submitted.
Oh, man, it was awesome. I was really
so much
pleased with the huge variety of characters that were submitted. I'm shocked and stunned at a few omissions. I'm really surprised at a couple that made it in. But, yeah, it was cool to see so much interaction.
Yeah.
And the diversity, man. I mean, you just saw practically every cartoon, from the underdogs to the popular ones to characters you're like, oh my god, that could have been mine, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was totally awesome.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there was certainly some characters that I'm sorry to FGP Squad member Eddie, who I guess really wanted Bobby Zimmerski, right? Yeah, to make it in. He's from the Goofy movie. He's Pauly Shore's character, so...
Yeah, I didn't even know who that was.
Leaning Tower of Cheesa.
Leaning Tower of Cheesa.
Nice.
So, yeah, I mean, I was so surprised when I went in and I was putting my personal votes in. I was surprised that Oswald really hadn't made it in. I wanted Uncle Scrooge in there, and he didn't even make it in. And I just, I guess to sum it up, we were absolutely blown away by your response on every social network. It was Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. I know that, Melissa, you had posted it on your Instagram as well, and a bunch of people sent you responses as well. So we just want to say thank you. We expected to get, 20 or 30 different characters and narrow it down to 16. We really
Right.
didn't know we were going to have to go through that many characters. And it was insane. Like, there was a bunch of votes for all these random characters that we wouldn't have even thought of. And so
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just goes to show that whenever you watch a film, you just never know what or who you're going to connect with. And I think the submission pool really does show us that there's a lot of untapped potential in some of these characters that I think maybe in time Disney will want to capitalize on.
Yeah.
Well, and to a bracket nerd like me, it tells me, hey, we've got enough people interested. Let's do a real bracket of 64 next time.
Bam!
Oh my God.
Because we could have done that this time.
Real NCAA style.
Oh yeah, we could do like eras, like classic or like
Yes.
golden age, Renaissance.
We could do that.
New era. Like we could figure that out. That's not a problem.
Oh my
I'm your
gosh,
bracket
yes.
guy.
All right. Well, that is certainly something that's coming in the future, but we're talking about the here and now. It's time for March Mayhem 2019. If you haven't had a chance to go check it out, by the time this episode launches, unfortunately, it will be too late to submit your predictions for the winner. As you may have heard us talk about before, we also posted on social media that this year we're going to be giving away a prize to the person that can most accurately predict who advances and who wins March Mayhem. Now, we did talk about what happens if people are tie, and, what if, some people get like closest with 4 predictions and then they get the winner, but they don't get everybody. So we did talk about all of that, and we have determined that like we said, it's whoever gets the closest to predicting the entire bracket. You don't have to nail it exactly, but whoever gets the closest as far as predicting who advances and who makes it to the end. Obviously, you do need a winner, but we'll get to that point when we get to that point. So for anybody that did submit their predictions, thank you very much. I posted mine on my Instagram story. I'm telling you, I think Wally's going to take it all the way this year.
That's nuts, man. There's
I
no
don't
way.
see that.
No? Who did you,
I really
No.
who are
don't.
you predicting?
Oh man.
It's gonna be tough to beat the big cheese. I'm just saying, like
I don't know. Stitch.
his pathway.
Stitch came in strong.
Maybe but Stitch, they won't meet until the finals. If they
Yeah.
both make it, then they won't meet until the finals. I gotta say though, the matchup I'm most intrigued by is Woody versus Buzz.
Yes!
First freaking
I
round.
saw that. I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
So
when I was doing the seeding, I was on the phone with Hazen, like we were kind of setting it all up together, and it came down to that matchup, and I was like, wait, it's Woody versus Buzz based on this seeding. And we were like, well, should we move one of them, just make an executive decision? And then we both thought, no, wait. That's actually more drama. We want
Oh
that.
yeah.
It
Oh,
was
yeah.
so crazy. So Gavin had to school me a little bit on how you seed these types of brackets, right? And so he was telling me, you take these percentages and you assign them, these numbers, and then this one meets this one, and so then it ends up so that maybe the top seeds in these end up meeting at the end. And it's like, all right, cool, like I get it. Like he did the one last year for us, but I just kind of let it go, right? I didn't know enough about it, and I just said, you know it, you do it. But this year I thought, okay, I want to learn a little bit about how this works. And so while we were discussing it, when that one came down, I just remember the point in the conversation where he's like, okay, well, we got this, and then well, this is interesting.
It is interesting for sure. I'm also a little surprised by Edna Mode getting into this thing, because
I'm so happy she made it.
I'm happy. I mean, I'm fine with it, but she's the only true like side character I feel like that made it in. She's not what I would consider a main character, and I think that's because when people think of the Incredibles, like the family itself, they kind of split the vote, right? So there's not a strong contender there. So that's how she gets in.
I don't know, dude.
But yeah,
There's nothing about Edna that says side character to me. She is a boss at everything.
I guess
That's true.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. That's pretty fair. I was surprised though that, and I kind of feel like it's a bit of recency bias because her and Jack Jack were the stars of that movie.
Yeah.
But I actually kind of felt like Jack Jack would make it.
Yeah, he was one of my choices, and I was a little disappointed that he didn't make it in.
Yeah. We got the two Bells going against each other. We got Belle and
Yeah.
Tinkerbell. That's kind of
The
interesting.
two bells from the Beast and Tinker.
I'm really loving the matchups. I mean,
Yeah,
that one kind of
it's
made me
cool.
laugh. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
that's too good.
You know which one else
That's
is really
very cool.
interesting? The Genie versus Donald.
I know.
They're just
That's a tough one.
So wacky. Like, each character is just lovable and zany. That
Yeah.
yeah, that's gonna be a really
well,
tough
and
one.
at this point, they're just both so iconic, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, that's a tough one. I'm going to have a hard time determining which one I would pick on that one.
Yeah. Well, if you guys want to take a look at where the bracket stands on a daily basis, make sure to head over to podketeers.com. If you scroll down a little bit on the homepage, you'll see a big March Mayhem logo. Click on it. It'll take you over to the page. Hopefully you had a chance to enter your predictions so that you are entered into the contest. To everyone that entered, good luck. We hope that you get as close as possible. We made our predictions, but, we're not eligible to win. For us, it was just a little fun
Just for
exercise,
kicks, yeah.
just for kicks.
We just want to play.
Yeah. We want to be involved too. We don't want to have FOMO when it comes to March Mayhem. All right. So, crazy week because apparently everyone except for us had a chance to go see all the stuff that's going to be happening at Galaxy's Edge soon. So I think, hey, Disney, I think you guys lost our invitation in the mail. I mean, do you need a new address? Like, just give me a call, Bobby. Let me know. Send me a text. I mean, let me know. So Galaxy's Edge, we had our first look at the costumes. Entertainment Weekly had this amazing just tour of the entire area where they broke down scene to scene what the attractions were going to be like, some of the food that's coming. Did you guys see any of the coverage? And if so, what did you guys think of all of it?
I actually got to see a live feed.
Oh, really?
I had a friend who was there. Yeah.
Right on.
One thing that I was really, really excited is that the cast members are having a choice in costume where it's like 20 different choices, like different mix and match pieces. And the fabrics that they have will be breathable all year round. And I'm like, thank you. Because I know some of the material is not that breathable for show purposes, but everything that they showed was really, really cool. But something that kind of got my eye was the Resistance attraction that's going to happen.
Rise
It
of
has
the Resistance.
Yes, that. It has reflection tape.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's reflection tape because they have to be seen on the attraction. Because I guess we're going to get off at one point, walk across, which is really cool. And it makes me think, what is happening that they need to have a reflection tape? Like, I want to know.
Very cool. They're putting a lot of care into this, and one of the things that I think I really enjoy about how this story is unfolding and what we're going to see when we finally step foot into Galaxy's Edge is how they're making this area canon and how they're tying it in not just to the major movie franchises, but they're tying it into some of these animated series that a lot of people have really grown attached to. For instance, Hondo Onaka is one of the animatronics that you're going to meet at Galaxy's Edge, and Hondo is from the Clone Wars. I think he kidnapped several major characters in the series, including Count Dooku, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin Skywalker, and then he tried to ransom all three of them. At one point. So
Oh, wow.
He's a former colleague of Jango Fett. So he's up there. He knows what he's doing when it comes to bounty hunting and just being a space pirate in general. But I found it most interesting that they're paying attention to the Clone Wars and they're paying attention to these animated series that most people just thought they're these one-off things, and now they're becoming part of this larger universe. And I think that's awesome.
That is.
Yeah, it's really cool that they can weave those things together. I think that's kind of one of the positive effects of the Marvelization of the entertainment industry, which is this idea that you can create multiple arms of franchises that all weave together in one big tapestry. And to have the central piece of the Star Wars tapestry become Galaxy's Edge, it's unique within the theme park industry too. So I think this land is going to be the most unique land ever created in a theme park ever.
Yeah.
And it might stand that way for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Galaxy's Edge is really raising the bar yet again. You know, we saw Disney do this with Cars Land. We saw them absolutely do it with Pandora. And I mean, what this is telling me is that the new Marvel themed area is going to be off the charts good.
Here's one thing that I feel about those two lands in comparison to each other. I feel like Galaxy's Edge is more in the tradition of Cars Land and Pandora, and even, you know, going outside Disney, Harry Potter. I feel like with Marvel, since it is a much more loosely jointed concept, I feel like it's less going to be like immersive, like walking into a fully themed area. And I think their concentration is going to be on the thematic experiences that you're going to have there, you know, the attractions. Because I don't feel like there is, unless they were to create a new land somewhere and do like Wakanda, you know, I don't feel like there's a Marvel, like, you know, like when you hear Marvel, you don't think of a certain set, really. I don't anyway.
Yeah.
You know, because they're all set all over the universe, basically. And,
Yeah.
you know, they all kind of weave in and out of each other. So I feel like that one is going to be more solely focused on the experiences you're going to have there, either on the attractions or interacting with characters. And something like Galaxy's Edge is going to be like another chance for us to step inside a movie.
Yeah.
You know, which to me that differentiates the two. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just, to me, they sit in different categories of themed lands.
Yeah. You know, it pains me to say that I know you are right. Because Galaxy's Edge was essentially planned from the ground up, right? And anything that we're getting Marvel right now is replacing something that already existed. So it wasn't something that they were ready to just tear down and start like they did Galaxy's Edge. The Marvel themed area is now currently being built around the structure that is Mission Breakout, instead of leveling everything and starting from scratch, which may have been better. Now, unfortunately, the talks of the Angels leaving Anaheim and possibly going to Long Beach might be coming a little too late, because what if they did go to Long Beach? I saw our buddy Sam, he's been on the show before, Cartar Sauce on Twitter. He said, I'll help the Angels pack if this means Disney gets a new gate. And I thought, man,
I'd help too.
if that was a Marvel theme park, how great would that be?
It would be incredible. You know, yeah, I think that ship has sailed in a sense. Oh, man, maybe we should do like a series of Armchair Imagination or Imagineering episodes where we do like 3 in a row, where all we do is blue sky a third park at Angel Stadium. Like that would be amazing. Like for me, I would want like either the whole park or like a huge swath of it, maybe like 1/3 of it, to be all dedicated to the Disney Renaissance. You know, give us freaking Pride Rock and give us Agrabah and give us those, you know, the things that we all grew up with and love. You know, like Fantasyland is so focused on the golden era of Disney. We don't have a true themed land that celebrates the entirety of that Disney Renaissance era that we're all so passionate about. So sorry, this is a
I know.
tangent that we could just
I know.
spend 3 hours on right now without even thinking
I'm like
about.
drooling right
Right?
now. I'm sitting here thinking like, oh my God, that's genius.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So we should put that on our agenda. Also, we can talk about ideas like, okay, well, maybe they just move all of the parking over there and they use the land that they have to create a third park, like right next to the other two. So,
Yeah.
like, there's all kinds of things we could talk about.
Yeah. That one, yeah. Oh man. Okay, yeah. Let's not get into it. That's so.
Okay.
And I
we'll
know,
put a pin in that.
and I know a handful of people, like Sam, for instance, who would love to join us for an episode like that.
Oh,
heck
yeah.
yeah. That'd be fun.
Yeah. All right. That's something we're gonna have to plan. So, so anyway, this whole Galaxy's Edge thing. So many amazing things were revealed, and like I said, Entertainment Weekly just had this unprecedented access where they just had this like 8-part series of posts where they were just talking about everything that they saw. And again, look, Disney, if you need an updated address to send us our press credentials, it's all good. Just ask. I will provide one for you so that we can go. We don't have to play this game, just send us our press passes. I'm just saying.
Assume we're interested. Assume we're free.
Yes. I mean, and yeah, don't you worry. We will be there for you.
That's hilarious.
Every answer will be yes.
Exactly. All right, well, before we continue, I just want to jump in, and I want to let you know that this episode of Podketeers is brought to you by the generosity of the FGP Squad, our podcast Fairy Godparents. If you want a little bit more information on how you can become a part of the FGP Squad, you can head over to podketeers.com/FGP. For as little as $1 a month, you can become part of the FGP Squad, but for a contribution of at least $5 monthly, you also get the exclusive Fairy Godparent button as a thank you for your support. Later this year, we're going to be doing a little bit more for the FGP Squad, including some live streams where we get a chance to connect with all of you, some more episodes that we're planning in the background, so stay tuned because more information on that is going to be coming soon. So let's get back to the episode, and to the entire FGP Squad, we just want to say thank you. So speaking of cool new stuff happening in the parks, did you guys see what they're doing to Epcot, or at least the plans that were revealed for Epcot?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think this is part of what Bob Iger talked about when they talked about where the money is going to go for the next few years. And it's going to be in reinvigorating some parks and some lands and some attractions that, around the Disney universe that, have needed some attention, as opposed to creating a lot more brand new things. And I think this is probably one of the biggest examples of that. And I'm excited because Epcot has kind of become notorious as the neglected park at Walt Disney World. It has kind of stayed put more than any other park, and it has become dated because of that. And I'm really excited to see them try to bring new life into it, update it, bring some new adventures, some new ideas. So, yeah, I'm all about it. I loved that park the one time I went many, many moons ago.
Mm-hmm.
But this update, which I think is supposed to be ready by 2021, I think is
2022, I think, was the
Is
last
it
date that
two?
yeah.
Okay. So that becomes, kind of a target date for a lot of people to revisit Walt Disney World probably. And I would be among those. So, yeah, it's cool. I can't wait to see what all they come up with.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited for it because that's like the first half of the park, because the other half is the World Showcase. So that's the better part of the park, unfortunately. So to see that they're actually putting attention to the beginning, which is like more welcoming.
That's the part that has become, I mean, it's not that different than our Tomorrowland, right? Like so much of the reason that many of us are kind of meh when it comes to Tomorrowland is because, it's kind of lost its way. It's become a little dated, even though they've tried to update it a couple times. And that's what that whole front half of Epcot seems like. And, they're injecting the Guardians of the Galaxy in there, and they're injecting this new interactive area, and they're bringing a lot of kid-friendly stuff, because that's the least kid-friendly park out there. It's like
Agreed.
There's not a lot of kid stuff.
Yeah.
And they brought in Frozen, which was good, and they're bringing in a Ratatouille ride, which is good too. But yeah, that whole front half of the park, which if you haven't been to Epcot, it's huge. It's a big park. And, for half of it to be almost completely unappealing to kids and the other half be probably appealing to some kids who like geography and traveling around the world, like, I don't know. I was a little nerdy kid in the 80s and I liked that.
Who
I
doesn't
liked
like
learning
drinking
about
around the world?
Well, right. Yeah. Just, anyway, yeah, it's all exciting. I can't wait. Those of us that are hardcore Disneyland resort people don't have a real palpable connection with a lot of that stuff out there, but it still gets us excited. Any park news gets us excited. I freak out when I hear about Tokyo Disneyland, it's all cool. And, we like to daydream about, if I win the lottery, I'll visit every park around the world. And that's like my number one bucket list item. So yeah, it's all
And
it's
you
all
get
exciting.
a premiere pass. And you get a premiere pass. We all get premiere passes.
Right? Yeah.
I'm the only one that hasn't been to Epcot. So
Yeah.
I'm never going to see Epcot the way it currently is.
That's
You're not missing much.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I gathered from all the articles that I read.
Yeah, and so much of it is going to be the same. I mean, and there is a lot that has changed since it opened in 1982, but by and large, it's the same as it was. And I feel like probably 70% of it's still going to be the same,
Yeah. Well, this is your chance to sound off on these changes because, like I said, we don't frequent Epcot. Disneyland is our home park. So if you frequent Walt Disney World and frequent Epcot especially, send us a message. Give us a small recording of what you think of all these changes that are coming to Epcot. And if you think it's good or not, you might be able to hear it on an upcoming episode. You can use the voice recorder on your phone and send it to comments@podketeers.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the changes coming to Epcot. All right, well, before we continue with this episode, I did want to let you guys know that the next time that you need to purchase on Amazon, and I know there's going to be a next time because, quite frankly, we all shop on Amazon. Make sure that you start that journey by going to podketeers.com/Amazon before your purchase, because on that page, you're going to see this huge Amazon button. Unless you're viewing it on a phone, then it's going to just resize to your phone. But trust me, if you saw it on a regular computer screen, it's huge. It's the biggest button on the page. You can't miss it. But when you click on it, it takes you to Amazon using our special referral link. And anything that you purchase may earn us a small commission as a thank you from Amazon because we mentioned them on this podcast. So to everyone that's taken a moment to click through our link and is helping us out like that, we just want to say thank you for that support. There's so many good things to talk about this week, but as much as I want to continue talking about all of them, honestly, I've been super excited about our main topic for this week because, as you guys may or may not know, every time that the Disney Expo comes around, they hold the Disney Legends ceremony now. And it's one of the main things that I don't like to miss when the Expo comes around. We thought it would be a nice idea to talk about some of the people that we think deserve to be a Disney legend as we kind of speculate who we think might be honored this year. Before we do that, though, Melissa was going to tell us a little bit about the history of the Disney Legend Award, just some of the top names that we may know of, and the class has been spread out so much, and it's been given out for so many years that we thought it would be nice to just give you a little background on the whole award. So, Melissa, let's take it away. Let's get this thing started.
Sure. All right. Let's start with the quote. You can dream, create, design, and build the most wonderful place in the world. But it takes people to make that dream a reality, which is true when talking about the Disney Legends Award.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Disney Legends Award is the most prestigious award given out in the company. It was designed by Imagineer Andrea Favilli and has 3 symbolic meanings built into the award itself. It's very beautifully made, but actually simple at the same time. The spiral at the bottom of the award means imagination, the idea. The hand, which is actually a Mickey's glove, holds the skill, the discipline, and the craftsmanship. The wand is for magic, the initial spark when imagination and craftsmanship comes together to form the new dream. Pretty much pixie dust. And it's really, really well done. So each legend is selected by a special committee formally appointed and chaired by Roy E. Disney, which is Roy's son and Walt's nephew. And this started in the 1980s. The first award was given in 1987 and still given out to this day as a celebration of those who've made an impact, whether it's in animation, parks and resorts, Imagineering, television, film, administration, or even family. If you ever get a chance to visit the Walt Disney Studios, you'll see the Disney Legends Plaza, where they have plaques of each legend from 1998 to the current time. The plaza was dedicated on the 75th anniversary of the Walt Disney Company. As mentioned, the very first award was given in 1987 to Fred McMurray. You could be asking why him? Who's Fred? I even had that question myself because I didn't know, and I'm going to be honest. But after some researching, I've come to learn that Fred was actually personally cast by Walt himself for the Shaggy Dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The
He
film
was
was
in a lot of
released.
movies.
Yeah. So the film was released in 1959 and was the most unexpected film successes in the company's history. But Walt saw something special in him. And like you said, Gavin, he ended up being in 7 more movies, including Bon Voyage, Follow Me Boys, and The Happiest Millionaire. So I was like, all right, cool, just one. And then the next year, 10 more. Set the bar, pretty high up.
Right.
Because this next 10 is the most influential people in Disney animation.
Yeah.
We're talking Ub Iwerks and the 9 Old Men. I think that's pretty awesome that they get it right after. I mean,
What a class, right?
If
Right.
ever there was a Mount Olympus, that's
Yeah.
it right there.
Yeah.
pretty much. But you think the bar is set high there. In 1990, the selected few is very influential people when creating Disneyland. You have Hench, Ryman, Fowler, Irvine, Broggy, and the Sherman Brothers.
Yeah.
So I'm reading this list and I'm like, oh, dang, up there, past Mount Olympus.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. There was cases where you would say that they're taken place in different locations and have different meanings. For instance, like in 1997, the ceremony was held at Disneyland Paris to celebrate its 5th birthday. All the inductees are of European origin. The group is also the largest by far, with 18 recipients, just about double the usual size for every yearly ceremony. Now, the next following year in 1998, there were 21 awards given in a 2-ceremony event. 19 were
Wow.
given out. Yeah, 19 were given out here at the Disney Legends Plaza at the Walt Disney Studio. 2 of them were at Tokyo Disneyland, which was really cool. It's totally different and something, a first. In 2002, the awards were given at the new animation building at the Walt Disney Studio Park in Disneyland Paris. Again, all the inductees are of European origin. So we kind of see this, when they're having their special ceremonies. This is really cool. I think it's great that they're honoring that.
Yeah, they certainly do revolve around themes in certain years, right?
Yep. But this one kind of caught my eye. 2001 was the year of Disney Legends in music. You have Bruns, Churchill, Menken, Ashman, Harline, and Washington, who were both worked on Pinocchio. But can't forget, Marty Sklar was also part of that group. But for me, it was like, you have all these great people in music. This is awesome.
That was the same year Tyrus Wong was inducted too.
Really? I missed that. I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay, so continuing on, in honor of Disneyland's 50th in 2005, all the recipients are either Parks and Resorts or Imagineering, and mostly, if not all, are connected to Disneyland. Roy E. Disney presents the award after a short hiatus from the company, which is pretty sweet. Now, fun facts. First Disney princess legend for voice is actually Adriana Caselotti, which is Snow White.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. Let's see who's the first villain, because I got to see this. I'm just dorky like that. But it's not Evil Queen. It's not Maleficent. And that's, I'm going to talk about that a little bit after. It's actually Betty Lou Gerson, who voices Cruella de Vil.
Nice.
And I'm like, hey, I was just curious, I guess the committee had their reasoning. All good. I'm more familiar with Disney voices. So I wanted to see who was the first voice actor. And do you guys want to take a guess of who it is?
The very first one inducted for voice?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've got the list here, and the first one I come across, I think, is Sterling Holloway.
Cheating. I'll give it
Who?
to you.
That's funny.
It's all good. It is Sterling Holloway.
Okay.
It's all good.
I couldn't tell what you were saying. Were you saying I was cheating? Is that what you said?
Kind of.
Oh. To be fair, I was totally cheating.
Oh, man. But for those of you who don't know who Sterling Holloway is, he's actually the voice of Pooh Bear.
Oh, bother.
Oh, well, that was good. And he's also the voice of the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland, Call from the Jungle Book, Sir Hiss from Robin Hood.
Yeah, shout out to
same-
Hiss.
Same people, just with the costume, but still. And Mr. Stork from Dumbo. But he's also done a bunch more narrating work for the company. A couple of things before I finish up the story time. I wanted to point out something that I personally didn't know. While researching this, I found out that there's actually 2 generations of Disney legends. And there's one person that actually falls under 4 categories for this award. I want to say the 2 generations is Ub Iwerks and his son, Don Iwerks.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
I wish I'd
Yeah.
known that. I didn't know. I just learned. But the person that runs under the 4 categories is Roy E. Disney.
Yeah.
And he gets the award for administration, animation, film, and family,
Yeah.
which I
Nice.
thought was really sweet.
That's very cool.
Can we just say, like, why did it take them so long to induct Lillian Disney?
Right?
Why did it take until 2003? I mean, she basically gave us Mickey.
Exactly.
Kind of.
Exactly.
I know it was Walton Ub, but I mean,
we could have
he
had
would have been
Mortimer
Mortimer
Mouse.
were it not for her.
I don't know. I think I'm on a different page with you guys on this one. I'm actually questioning why she has a Disney Legend Award. Like, to me, like, I don't know. I understand, like, the support structure of a spouse behind a creative person like that is big, but
Oh yeah.
all of these people's wives should be in there then, or husbands. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm being controversial, but I don't see a reason to just add family just because they were family.
I kind of feel different with her and Edna. I kind of see Edna's like, okay, she could have waited, but for her to share it with Lillian, it's kind of, right, sure.
Look, dude, years from now, when we're handing out Podketeers Legend Awards, I can very well tell you that my wife deserves one for
Yeah, but
all
she's done
the
actual
she's done in
work on the
background.
podcast.
Still,
Behind the
I mean, I'm
scenes.
just saying, how do you know that that Lillian didn't do stuff in the background to help out with Disneyland or at the animation studio?
I mean,
How do you know that?
I don't know for sure, but I've never read any indication that she did anything more than
Maybe she's an unsung
love
hero.
and support Walt and put up with Walt because the guy was kind of a madman.
And spending all the money. That takes a lot of nerve.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna begrudge her Legends Award. Like, I love Lillian Disney, and she's all fine. I just feel like, to me, that changes what this award is, and it makes it less of a pure thing to me. It kind of adulterates it a little bit, and I'm a purist. I want it to be specifically for something and not, oh yeah, but you're related, so you get in.
So she does do something different than Edna. I'm not too familiar with Edna.
Who's Edna? Sorry, I don't know who you're talking about.
Roy's wife.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. So Lillian has done a little bit more than Edna. She actually decorated Club 33. So she did have a part in that.
That's fair.
I will say.
I mean, okay, so that's the other thing, though, because Walt and his brother Roy are not legends, right? Because they made the company, and so in essence, they're the ones basically awarding this. So it's weird to me that their direct spouses would be included because they're kind of on that same level as them. Like, they were there from the beginning. So I don't know. It's a weird spot for me, but I've said my piece. We'll move on. I don't want to make it.
Debate?
This is a very positive discussion. I don't want to make it negative. Let's.
So that's interesting that you say that because last time that the awards were being held, there was a lot of controversy about, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, all getting Disney Legends Awards because they didn't help build the Disney empire, right? They were building their own empires off on the side, and Disney just kind of scooped them up and made them a part of their umbrella. How do you feel about those Disney Legend Awards?
I'm fine with it because, in a sense, they did help create the Disney empire because they're part of that empire now, and Disney never would have been interested in them if they weren't creating their own brand of magic and creating something worthy of the Disney name. And so I've got no problem with that. When they decided to include George Lucas and Jim Henson and the people at Marvel in their realm of creativity, it's because they reach a certain standard that Disney looks for, right? In breaking new grounds, in telling stories, in entertaining people the world over. That's what they look for. And that's what they did. And so just because they technically weren't part of the Disney company throughout the time that they were building that magic, the fact that they're part of that company now, I'm fine with that. I've got no problem with that whatsoever.
You pretty much just hit exactly what I was going to say. And I was going to add that if Marvel never existed, or Lucasfilms,
right,
they wouldn't be here. But because they did, and they're part of Disney, I mean, you could say they helped create, what we have now, especially for Lucasfilms, because we've got Star Tours.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Indiana Jones.
Exactly. I feel like the people that would have a problem with those people getting Legend Awards are the same people that say Star Wars and Marvel shouldn't be in the park.
Right.
And I disagree with that because it's more magic, more experience, more wonderful adventures we can go on and, have fun at the parks with.
Yeah.
And
you can say they were all the Walt Disneys of their own branch of entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now we understand why Johnny Depp got his then.
Well, I mean, Johnny Depp was...
He gave us an iconic
I'm just
character.
being devil's advocate,
Seriously,
dude.
Like, he did Disney work.
I know. I just know that there was a lot of controversy when he received his Legend Award.
I mean, look, these types of awards, just like the Oscars, just like the Grammys, just like the freaking Nobel Peace Prize, there's politics, there's trends, there's popularity, there's how much, marketing can we get, there's how much advertising can we get behind all of this stuff. It's not a pure award. It never has been, it never will be, and that's unfortunate, but that's the case. So, yeah, Johnny Depp became a franchise-making pirate that redefined one of the most popular attractions of all time.
Yep.
So he gets an award. Deal with it, people.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of people arguing that there should be a lot of others, going forward, especially now that we have Star Wars and Marvel coming into the parks as well.
Of course, but that's the thing is that's why they do it every other year, because they're always going to have more people to add to the list. And, you're always going to have people doing legendary things in this company because that's what they strive for, is legendary efforts.
And I can't wait to get to our list because I feel very passionate about one specific person that I did not see on this list.
So
I know who my number one person is. Trust me. Like I said, I have a bunch of people, but let's just get started with that part.
All right.
I want to point out one thing before we do. I think it's interesting because we talked about how so many of the classes they chose to do thematically, and they would do them at anniversaries or in parks around the world. And this was during the time that they would do it every single year. Since the inception of the D23 Expo, they've only done it every other year.
Yeah.
And from time to time, they've had a theme, like in 2011 when they did all the princesses together, which was really cool. But I find it really interesting that they've done that, that they don't do a legend ceremony in between. And I'm not totally sure why. I think maybe because it has become such an event for people to attend, that's a big reason. But, because they've halved the frequency, then I feel like they're always going to have a good crop of legends that they can bring in. Yeah. Because there's still some from the golden era and from, decades past that should be in here that aren't. Even posthumous awards that will be awarded down the road, in addition to newbies. But let's talk about newbies. Let's talk about who we want in this vaunted list.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to roundtable this. We're going to talk about who we think should be getting a Disney Legend Award at this year's ceremony. We can go back as far as we want to go. A lot of the people that I'm going to personally concentrate on are going to be fairly recent in the last maybe 20 or 30 years in the company. Do you guys mind if I kick it off?
No, go for it.
Because as soon as I say this name, I already know that Gavin's going to roll his eyes.
Uh-oh.
All right. You ready?
Yeah. Sure.
Here we go. Robert Downey Jr.
I knew you were going to say that. I mean, I specifically left him off my list because, I have a note off to the side here that's just like Avengers, because I knew you were going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And look. Robert Downey Jr., he's a very celebrated actor. He's done a lot of stuff in Hollywood. He's noted for so many amazing roles, and I get it. But the fact that his film kicked off the entire MCU, that was something unprecedented. At the same time, I feel like Jon Favreau should be one of the inductees in that same class because he was the director of that film. But it was really Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Tony Stark that made that film and the franchise what it is today. The snarkiness that he brought to the character, I don't think anybody else would have brought that type of egotistical wonderfulness to the character that he brought to Tony Stark.
Sure.
And because of how it changed the film industry, how it changed Marvel, and how it's now changing Disney and the parks as we see it, going into the future, I think Robert Downey Jr. should get a Disney Legend Award.
Okay, but do you think he should be, because we're 10 years in, we're over 10 years into this Marvel Cinematic Universe experience, and he's one of the group. And I understand that he's the first, but at this point, don't you think all the Avengers should be in there?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately all of the Avengers should be in there. And look, maybe who knows? Maybe this year it's a very Marvel ceremony, right? And the entire Avengers crew ends up getting a Disney Legend Award for their contributions, except maybe Hawkeye, because nobody knows where Hawkeye is.
Yeah.
But to kick it off,
You don't have to worry
I
about
think Robert
continuity
Downey
with a
Jr.
ceremony like this.
I think we should. I mean, it's very important.
Marvel has rewritten your brain.
But yeah, man, I think Robert Downey Jr. should be the one that kicks it off, considering his movie started off the franchise.
So what about putting Kevin Feige in before him?
Oh, he'll get his, dude.
Okay.
Don't you worry. Don't
You
you
want-
worry. He's on my
Oh,
list.
I see. Okay, I've spoiled it already.
You have, but that's okay. It's a good spoiler.
All right. Well, I personally think the Beatles should all go in all at once instead of separately, but I hear what you're saying.
All right, so who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
All right.
All right, so basically all of mine are film, mostly animation, or parks, Imagineering related. My first one is a voice actor extraordinaire, one of the contemporary greats of voice acting, who has now voiced 7 characters in films for the company. None other than Alan Tudyk.
Right.
Hey,
on.
hey.
Exactly. Hey, King Candy. The 2 characters I love is that he played the Duke of Weselton and
yeah.
Duke Weaselton. I love that. That's the greatest.
All right, give us your best King Candy.
Oh no, I can't do it. It's out of my ballpark for sure. Yeah. So and then he did K2SO for Rogue One, which was an incredible film. So I just feel like I like when they throw in like contemporary people who are still doing work for the company. You know, and I think he would be my contemporary pick really for someone who's super active in the company still and is kind of a go-to guy for crazy character voices. And I like the guy. He's done a lot of work that I like outside of the company as well.
Cool.
Very cool.
All right. My first one is Fabio Rodriguez.
I don't even know who that is.
That is the Spanish-speaking announcement person that you hear at Disneyland.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with you on this one. That is a great pick.
Maybe I'm going to shift one of my picks around then.
Dude, I agree. That guy should be in. I mean, we know his voice instantly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and
Well-
he's been doing it for a long time too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's really cool. I never knew that guy's name. I kind of feel ashamed.
All right, well, since I'm next, then I'm going to go further down in my list and shift him up to go directly along with Melissa's.
Nice.
And I'm going to say Bill Rogers.
He's
should
on
get a
my
Disney
list,
Legend
too.
There you
Award.
go. I'm surprised he doesn't have one actually.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Wagner, who he took the job over back in the early 90s, did get a Disney Legend Award, I think mid 2000s. I don't remember exactly when he got it, but he was, like Melissa was saying earlier, when they themed stuff out, he was part of the Parks and Resorts theme
That's right.
of the Disney Legends ceremony. So the fact that since like 1991, 92-ish, Bill has been doing like he's the voice of Disneyland.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
You know, he's done stuff for all of like attractions, and he's done stuff for Tokyo Disneyland. He's done stuff for Walt Disney World. Like, I don't think there's anyone that has gone to Disneyland that at some point hasn't heard Bill throughout the day.
Correct.
I think that Bill deserves a Disney Legend Award.
That's a great pick. I like it.
Agreed.
Okay, I'm going to be a little controversial now.
Uh-oh.
Not top tier controversy, which we may talk about at the end here, but slight controversy. So this person notoriously took a ton of Disney animators and started his own company, and has had really big ups and really big downs throughout his career, but I'm going with none other than Don Bluth, who's now back in the fold.
Dude, not who I thought you were going to say, because I have somebody on my
Serious?
list that I feel you're going to react to the same.
That's hilarious.
You know what? I could go with
Look,
that.
I mean, Don Bluth's career goes all the way back to Sleeping Beauty, where he was an assistant animator, and then led him all the way up through the late 70s. And, you know, he even was the director of animation for the animated sequences in Pete's Dragon. So the guy did a lot of work. I mean, he worked on Fox and the Hound. He worked on Winnie the Pooh, Robin Hood, Sword in the Stone, like Disney classics, right? And then he left and he started his own things, and some of them worked and some of them didn't. But he had some huge successes along the way, including one mega hit that he did with Fox, which is now becoming a Disney property, in Anastasia. And Anastasia is one of the great non-Disney animated films of that decade. It is a huge hit. It's hugely rewatchable. I adore it. And I think almost on that alone, he should get an award, because not many people can go outside, start their own company, and then create a titanic hit which beats what else is out there that year, including Disney. And he did it. Yeah. And I think it's awesome. His next film was Titan AE, which was a total flop, but we won't mention that.
But more importantly, I think leaving the Disney company and still finding so to speak, your own animation voice, right? Because Disney animation and the look of what's done at Disney is so distinct that you can clearly tell when somebody's trying to emulate it. And everything that came out of Bluth's production studios didn't look Disney. It had its own contemporary yet old school look to it, you know, and the fact that he was able to lead his animators into creating something that looked so different and was so heartwarming. Like, come on, man, you listen to Somewhere Out There from An American Tale, and you tell me you're not going to drop a tear? Right? Come on now. I'm just saying.
I agree.
So that's a great choice, man. Great choice.
All right. So my next choice, and I'm going to actually give a shout out to Skylar, because I agreed with what he had said previously. I think Phil Harris should get one.
Ah.
Yes.
Wait, Phil Harris doesn't have one?
No.
Oh my gosh, I'm shocked about that.
Right.
I
remember him
he was
talking
on
about
the
that.
list. Oh my gosh. Yes, get that man an award.
Wow.
I'm bowled over.
Bare necessity. Forget about your worries and your strife.
I mean,
and not just that, he came back for Tailspin.
Yeah, like...
Yeah, that's right, he did.
Like, come on.
Dude, to me, that makes me wonder if there's something in the background, you know, because, come on.
My top pick,
Okay.
Just wait.
I think he deserves one.
Or are they waiting to bundle up enough character actors to do one entire ceremony themed to voice actors?
But that has been way too long in coming.
Exactly.
Look, I'm trying to be positive.
I agree. But he should have been one of the initial considerations, I think. I'm stunned. Good pick.
Yeah, very good pick. So, to continue on, very much in the style of Gavin's Don Bluth selection, my next, who I believe should be honoree, would make a lot of people cringe at the Disney Studios when I mention his name. But, I mean, honestly, I really think that he would deserve it, and I'll tell you why in a second.
I think I know who this is.
But I think that's Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Yes.
So, Jeffrey Katzenberg, while he was chairman of the Walt Disney Studios, I think it was from 84 to 95, I think, is when he was kind of tenured there. But, I mean, he's the reason we saw stuff like Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King. And even though he went off and he co-founded DreamWorks and, you know, then we got Shrek and Kung Fu Panda and all that stuff, whether he was there directly affecting what Disney was producing or whether he was creating competition to keep Disney on their toes, Jeffrey Katzenberg has done a lot for the lineage of Disney animation. And I really think that beef needs to be settled and he needs to get a Disney Legend Award.
I kind of agree with that one. I think that, yeah, that's a controversial pick because of the way he left. But yeah, I mean, the stuff that his name is at the top of the bill for, some of the most iconic, great stuff that the company ever churned out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You can't deny his work.
Yeah. And then he went out and helped create two of what I consider the greatest animated movies of all time in Prince of Egypt and Road to El Dorado. I mean, those are two of the most underrated animated films ever created. They're masterpieces.
It's so weird that those two films are kind of like the Atlantis and the Treasure Planet of DreamWorks.
Yeah, because everything after that immediately switched over to CG, and it gets lost, you know? I mean, they did two more 2D films in Sinbad and, what was it called? Cimarron of the
Spirited Away.
Plains or whatever, about the horse, which nobody saw. You know, but everything...
Oh, I said Spirited Away. That's a Miyazaki film. Never mind.
Everything after that was CG. You know, you mentioned Shrek and Kung Fu Panda and all those things. And, you know, it's a different thing. But he created two bona fide classics, I believe, in the last years of great 2D animation. So, yeah, I'd give him an award.
Yeah.
Back to me. Okay, so I'm gonna I'm gonna go back to the actor side of things. This guy is one of my favorite understated comedic actors. I'm gonna list his least known characters first and see if you guys can guess who it is. Okay, so he voiced the following characters: Patrick, Alien Cop, Royal Pain, Blag, and Pulaski.
Patrick Warburton.
Nailed it. You nailed it. Kronk himself. So
Kronk,
I was going to
dude.
say, wait a minute, you're missing Kronk.
That's obviously his most famous role is Kronk. I just wanted to see if you guys could get it from those other ones. You guys,
Alien Cup
good job.
voice.
Good job.
I'm glad Hazen did.
But also, and equally as important, he is the forever chief flight attendant on Soarin' over California and subsequently Soarin' around the world. And I never ceased to get a little thrill when Patrick comes on my screen before I'm about to board that ride and gives us his little spiel. I love his work. I think he's truly hilarious, and he's, by all indications, is a truly awesome guy. And I think I would give him a Disney Legends Award.
Nice.
And of course, he's also Putty and the Tick, so we can't.
Oh, that's right.
No, he's done a lot of other fantastic work and a lot of other animation work. Like, he was a great character in the Bee Movie, which I don't know if you guys ever saw, but he was amazing.
I've seen it, but I don't remember him.
That
in
was
it.
the one that Jerry Seinfeld starred in, about bees and their culture and how humans are raiding their honey, and it's hilarious. You should definitely see it. It's Spielberg directed.
I have to watch that.
It's good.
All right, Mel.
All right, James Earl Jones.
Mufasa.
The Lion King comes out,
And Darth
he's Mufasa
Vader.
again. Yes.
Wow, yeah, that's
Give this man a Legend Award already.
pretty good. I like that pick.
All right.
So, wait, has he
right.
done anything else besides those two characters for Disney, or is that it? Actually, you know what? Isn't Field of Dreams a Touchstone Pictures?
I don't know.
I feel like he's done something for Touchstone as well. It might be Field of Dreams.
I don't know.
Anyway, maybe Mufasa and Darth Vader is just enough to get him in. I think those are two of the most iconic characters ever. So
Right. And with the release of the film,
yeah, he's going to reprise his role again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if, as I understand it, it's going to be a line-for-line remake, right? Like, he's going to have the exact
I
same
believe so.
dialogue. It's interesting.
So in other words, they could just reuse the original.
Yeah, like,
dialogue.
I wonder if they ever thought of that. Like, if we just reanimate with the exact same voice tracks. Like,
No.
Because there's some people, especially like James Earl Jones, that his voice isn't changing all that much, right?
But maybe he has more of a passion behind it because he's done it and
Maybe.
he's going to do it again.
Everything the light touches is your kingdom.
Totes my goats.
It's like now that he's been in more Broadway shows, like he's bringing more kick
that's
to
hilarious.
it. That's funny.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good pick too. I like that. The next person that I would love to see get a Disney Legend Award is somebody who's been around producing films since Who Framed Roger Rabbit and beyond. He's done his own work, creating amazing documentaries like Waking Sleeping Beauty, and that is none other than Don Hahn.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned him.
Yeah, Don Hahn. Talk about a guy who's had an amazing producing career. When he produced Beauty and the Beast, it was the first animated film to be nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture.
I remember
the
that.
First animated film. How amazing is that? And now that he's kind of taken over as executive producer for Disney Nature Films, look at how amazing those films are. They are now.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people that love nature films, but just the way that he produces something, there's so much heart behind it. All the books that he's written are just amazing. Like Before Ever After, The Lost Lectures of Walt Disney's Animation Studio, where they talk about he has this collection of letters and notes from all of these production meetings. From all the original animations and all the animated films that were made at the studio. What's the other book that he wrote? It's Brainstorm.
Yeah.
How to Unleash Your Creativity. That book is written from the point of view of a very compassionate artist to another artist. So books, the documentaries, and all of the production work that he's done, I think Don Hahn just deserves a Disney Legend Award.
Heck yeah. I think that's a great pick. For me, just Lion King alone, throw him in there.
Yeah.
Man,
Yep.
that's fantastic. And he was on my short list. I didn't include him. I feel like now I should have. Shame on me.
No, he was on there. Bleep. Let's edit that. He was in there.
I totally had him too. All the things you said.
I'm glad you chose him too, Gavin.
Down,
yeah, well done, sir.
Thanks. That's hilarious.
All right, well, let's keep this ball rolling, man. Who's your next choice?
Well, in a similar vein, in the same kind of capacity, these two guys, and I'm doing two guys at once here because they're an inseparable duo. And mostly they're on the directorial side of things. And it's none other than Ron Clements and John Musker. I feel like these guys and their collaborative partnership has given us pure gold for decades now. They co-directed The Great Mouse Detective, The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Hercules, The Princess and the Frog, and Moana. That's a track record, kids. That is a stellar track record of amazing work. And I feel like those films really stand out. Like they have a uniqueness about them. They don't all have a typical that's just a Disney looking film. Like they were really creative and experimental and imbued their films with a certain character. And I love their work. I think that they're amongst the best animation directors of all time. And they've done plenty of work to get this award. And they're also just really cool, down-to-earth people. They were just literally just walking around the expo floor in 2017.
Nice.
And I know our friend Liam from Hilt Radio literally just got to walk up to them and say, hey, I really love what you guys do. you created my favorite film. His favorite movie is The Great Mouse Detective. And he just was like, you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, thanks. We really appreciate it. And then,
Aw.
they were just cool. They didn't make a big deal like, do you know who I am? They were just cool people just strolling around the expo, nerding out about Disney stuff, just like the rest of us. It was really cool. So I think
awesome.
they're classically Disney, and they're also so talented that they've seamlessly transitioned into the new era of CG with a film like Moana, which is as perfect a film as you can get. So they're poised to be in the next crop, I believe.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I agree. When you started talking about two people and then started talking about producing, I was like, yeah, Joe and Anthony Russo, here it comes. Here it comes. And I was about to say, I was like, might be a little premature. It's just a couple of Marvel movies, but all right, let's do this.
Man, I didn't want to step on any toes. I left the Marvel to you, brother.
You know what? I tell you the truth, they're not on my list. Sorry, guys. Not this time around.
All right. No introduction. John Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the fact that John Williams doesn't have a Disney Legend Award, that's kind of baffling to me.
Yeah, the fact that John Williams doesn't have every reward.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a phenomenal pick. I don't think there's anybody out there that would disagree with that one.
Yeah, I mean, did I see Hans Zimmer on this list?
Nope.
Because there's a couple composers. Because Hans Zimmer has done for Disney animated films, too. Not just, things like Star Wars and Marvel. But
Hans Zimmer doesn't have a Disney Legend Award.
Okay, so I think both of those guys would be in the same kind of ballpark for me. But with Williams' track record with all of the Star Wars universe, that's huge.
Right.
Yeah.
And not just that, the attraction audio that we get.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's been in the parks.
Yeah.
For ever.
That's awesome.
There's our next cluster, because then we can throw Michael Giacchino in there.
Yeah.
And then we have, a cluster of musicians.
Daft Punk for Tron Legacy. Woo woo.
Oh, gosh.
And Daft Punk. There you go.
I would camp out for that line.
I mean, look, the Shermans already have theirs.
Yep. Right?
We don't need to include them. We just need to include everybody else now.
Menken and Ashman have theirs, so we're good there. Yeah. I agree. Let's get these composers in here.
Oh, that's funny.
That's hilarious.
Okay, so I'm taking it back to the parks.
Ooh.
I'm going back to Imagineering for a second.
I think you're going to steal mine. I feel it. I think you're going to steal mine. Yes,
Really?
Go ahead.
Oh, well, if we think it's the same person, let's just say it at the same time. We'll count it down. You ready? No introduction. 3, 2, 1. Joe Rohde.
Yes!
Exactly.
Yes!
Yes. I mean, look, at this time, he's the vice president of creative, and he's the executive designer. I forgot what his official title is, but I mean, Joe Rohde is responsible for Animal Kingdom. And other things like bringing us Expedition Everest and Pandora, Aulani. There's so
Guardians
many things
of the Galaxy,
that he
Mission
was
Breakout.
head of. Yeah, Mission Breakout. I mean, when you think about what his contributions are and how he got started as a scenic painter for Mexico's Pavilion when, back in the 80s at Epcot, he's seen so much. He went through the refurbishment of Fantasyland. I want to say he was responsible for Captain EO.
He worked on EO. He
worked on it, right?
He wasn't the lead creative on that, but he worked on it.
Yeah, he was lead on that. And, I mean, so many other things. I mean, Joe Rohde... Look, there was a period of time when Tony Baxter got his window and he became a Disney legend. I was psyched because I had a chance to be at that ceremony. I got a chance to take a photo with him.
Nice.
See the window unveiled, the whole 9 yards, right? And I remember that there was this period of time where Imagineers were not really out in the public eye as much, but Tony Baxter was. He was kind of a trailblazer because aside from the ones that you really knew that came from the early days of WED, Bob Gurr and Rolly Crump and all these other Imagineers, they really weren't out there, but Joe Rohde was he's Joe Rohde. He's got a distinct look to him. He's got a very snappy and witty personality that if you're hearing a comment from Joe, you're hearing a comment from Joe. That's just how it goes down. He's very talented, and that time where he was kind of stepping out, I remember people referring to him as the new Tony Baxter. He's like, oh, well, Tony Baxter's, he's leaving Imagineering. He got his window. He's a Disney legend. Joe Rohde's the new Tony Baxter. No. Joe Rohde is the only Joe Rohde.
Oh, 100%.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
Yeah.
There is nobody at Imagineering like Joe Rohde.
Yeah.
And because of his uniqueness and everything that he's contributed to the Walt Disney Company, I think Joe Rohde deserves a Disney Legend Award.
Oh, absolutely.
Agreed. I did not have him on my list because I knew one of you was going to do that. And this was epic. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's actually my top pick. Like, he is the number one person, I believe, that's out there. Well, him and freaking Phil Harris. I'm still bugging out about Phil Harris not having it. Anyway, he's my top pick. And, as an artist and as somebody who loves and is passionate about art history, I find such a deep connection with Joe Rohde. And I think one of the great things that he has done for Disney Imagineering is, a lot of them brought an art background, but not as many people brought an art history and a cultural history background to the company.
Yeah.
So the stories that he creates, in Animal Kingdom, in the Expedition Everest attraction, in Aulani, are so steeped in those cultures and the history, both artistic and otherwise, that they just have the richest sense of storytelling. And I follow him on Instagram. I love his Instagram feed because every post is like a little, blurb from an art history professor just blowing your mind about some little tiny thing he's showing you and how it relates back to how they designed a piece of the park. And I love it.
Right.
He brought a new level to Imagineering, which is that just intricate, history and culture and, artistry that, wasn't present before. He really stepped everything up to a new level, and man, oh man, the things that he's created for us are spectacular. So yeah, he's definitely my number one pick for getting a Legend Award.
Right on, man. Right
Nice. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, I think we could do one or two more. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's the end of my personal list, but I'm down to talk about your extra people all night long.
Well, I have three more that I do want to mention.
Okay.
I have two.
Okay.
So she's not my number one pick, but I think Diane Disney Miller should be included for the fact that she started the Walt Disney Family Museum, and it's turning 10 this year.
Dang. I can't believe it's
Yeah.
10. So, whoa. So I didn't realize that D23 and the Family Museum both started in 2009.
Yeah.
Both celebrating a 10-year anniversary. Wow. Crazy. Okay, cool.
Well, I'm actually glad that you mentioned Diane because on my list is Ron Miller.
Okay, nice.
Ron Miller also very instrumental in creating the Walt Disney Family Museum, but Ron Miller was also the president of Walt Disney Productions in the late 70s into the early 80s. We talked about this an episode or two ago after we heard about his passing, that he was really encouraging when it came to being an innovator and getting people to really go out there and go beyond their limits, which is why we have Tron. It was his early experimental mindset that said, hey, this computer animation stuff, it might be going somewhere, let's make a movie out of it. And so we got Tron out of it. Ron Miller is also the reason we have The Nightmare Before Christmas very indirectly, because when a young Tim Burton was just getting started, everybody saw this stop motion stuff that he was doing, and he was the one that helped fund Vincent and Frankenweenie. You know, so he was the one that really got Tim Burton on that track to ultimately get us to getting, you know, Nightmare Before Christmas. And he was also the one that planted the seed for Who Framed Roger Rabbit, a film unlike any other and unlike anything we're ever going to see again, just because of the magnitude of studios and characters that were involved. So when you talk about somebody that was thinking outside of the Disney box, Ron Miller's it.
Yep.
So I truly believe that Ron Miller deserves a Disney Legend Award.
100%.
Cool. My last one, and I'm so not having it that she's not on the list. Eleanor Audley, who is the voice of Maleficent, Madame Leota, Pele, Lady Tremaine.
Yeah, absolutely.
How is she not one? How? And Cruella is.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, that's fantastic.
So early in the conversation, when you said, I went back and I looked to see how many Disney villains were on that list, I was like, oh, this is leading to something. But I was like, that's foreshadowing. I just know it.
Yeah.
And here it is.
It is.
That's, I didn't realize that she wasn't a legend yet.
Yeah, that's insane.
I checked that list so many times and I'm like, wait a minute. She gave us one of the most iconic villains that we have in shows, in parades, and what?
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, well, the final two names that I have were, I don't want to say necessarily lower on the list, because I feel that everybody that I talked about deserves it in one way or another. But the last two names that I have are Steve Ditko. Steve Ditko was very instrumental in creating characters for Marvel Comics like Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, and he worked very closely with Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, especially in the creation and just the production of those characters for Marvel. So the fact that Stan and Jack became Disney legends at the last ceremony and Steve Ditko didn't, I didn't really understand why.
Yeah.
I know that at one point he just kind of left Marvel and there isn't a lot of reasoning behind it. It could have to do with some of the stuff that we talked about in the Stan Lee episode where he and Jack were having some trouble. I don't know, but I think with the creation of Spider-Man and how big Spider-Man has become, I think he kind of deserves it.
Yeah.
So just want to throw that out there. And the last one is just kind of a, really, guys? Really? And that's Tom Hanks. Because
he was on my list.
Yeah.
He was on my list. Yes.
He'll get in.
Tim Allen already has a Disney Legend Award.
Thank you.
But Woody doesn't.
But it wasn't just for Buzz.
Well, Disney doesn't.
Exactly.
Tim Allen had one of the biggest TV hits of all time for ABC, so that's why he really got in.
Yeah, I know, but still. I mean, at this point.
I agree. I mean, shoot, to me, John Ratzenberger should be in there because he's in every single Pixar film.
True.
You know.
Yes.
So, yeah, there's we could go on and on and on, I'm sure, and think of more and more and more and more people. But yeah,
true.
Tom Hanks is a big one. I think he should definitely be in there. Before we finish, I have two questions for you guys.
Sure.
Question number 1. Would you give a Disney Legends Award to Michael Eisner or John Lasseter? Would either of them get one from
Well, that
you?
ends this episode.
Cliffhanger.
Can I write in a different name?
You know, it's interesting that you bring that up. I contemplated bringing up both of those names as part of their contributions to the Disney company. And I think it's a difficult situation to be in because you can't ignore the contributions that each one of them, you know, made for the company. And I know that a lot of people like to use Michael Eisner as a punching bag when it comes to a lot of the things that went wrong in the Disney company.
Right.
But there's a lot of things that he did that actually turned out well for the Disney company.
Yeah, more positives than negatives.
Yeah.
But the negatives are so glaring that people tend to focus on those. And with John Lasseter, I mean, his legacy with what he did for Pixar is undeniable.
Right.
You know, how he changed the computer industry and how he changed just filmmaking in general, and showed us that you can bring an emotional film through the means of animation is something that we had only seen Walt Disney do before, you know, and what he did with the 9 Old Men. And so you can't deny that, but at the same time, I feel that at this moment in time, giving him a Disney Legend Award would be a slap in the face to all the people that have been hurt by what he's done.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, we've mentioned before, like, time will only tell. Let's see, like, in 5-10 years, you know, how things roll out.
Yeah.
Maybe then.
It's very interesting, though, because we've mentioned several actors who voiced characters in Pixar films, but there are very few Pixar creatives on the list, and I don't think any of us mentioned any of the Pixar creatives, did we? Any directors or producers of...
No.
Right? So like Brad Bird. I mean, actually this year
Pete
it's probably
Docter,
a year that Ed Catmull will get in.
Ed Catmull.
Yeah, Pete Docter. Like, we totally missed all these people. I don't know why we didn't think of these people, but I mean,
Because we ran out of
I
time,
guess.
Gavin.
I guess.
I'm kicking
I didn't
myself
think of
because
it.
Lee. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't mean to open up a whole new can of worms. That's just food for thought. So my second question for you guys is, we'll kind of tell everybody where our hopes and dreams stem from, I think. If you were imagining yourself having a career with Disney, would you prefer to receive a Disney Legends Award or a window on Main Street?
They're hand in hand, dude.
No, they're not.
To me, they're hand in hand.
The legends don't get windows, and windows don't get legends. They're different things.
I know. I'd go for both.
Shoot for the moon, buddy.
Here's the thing, too.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to say a window. I mean, family, friends will see my name up there, so not everyone could go to the plaza. That's the hardest part. But I mean, it's iconic.
Yeah.
But
to me, there's more of a mystique to the windows. I would prefer to have a window than if I could only pick one, Hazen. I would pick the window because to me, there's more magic there, and it's a more select group of people.
That's true.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. So, I mean, if I had to choose one...
You'd still choose both.
I'd choose both.
I know how you think.
No, I agree with you guys. If I did have to choose one, I would choose the window.
Nice.
Because you're right. There is a point where you run out of window real estate on Main Street. Mm-hmm. And then you start putting them in other lands. And eventually you also run out of space in the other lands. So the windows are a very, very select few. So, yes, if I was forced to choose between the two, I would select a window on Main Street.
Nice.
But really, my choice is to get both.
Understood. Oh, man.
All right. Well, since we're done with our lists, let's throw it out to the listeners. And we want to hear who you would like to see inducted as a Disney legend, either at this upcoming ceremony at the 2019 D23 Expo or, at an upcoming one. Leave us a comment and join the conversation over on Instagram, Twitter, or on Facebook. Just search for Podketeers. You can also send us an email to comments@podketeers.com. And you know what? Let's throw Gavin's question out there as well. If you had the option and you could end up with either a window on Main Street or a Disney Legend Award, which would you choose and why? We'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and we'll share them in an upcoming episode. So that is going to be it. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep moving forward, and always remember to pass on the magic. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
Made you look.